The meaning of the movie author Orpheus for reading 5 minutes published 1.01. 2021 updated 1.01. 2021 The whole movie is imbued with the idea of the meaning of life and its true value. Not everyone manages to take a risk and go on a long hiking trip for a few months, as the main character, Cheryl Strayed, did. The story of this strong girl is based on the experience of the writer, who told in her memoirs about a difficult life period that changed her forever. Cheryl divorced her beloved husband and lost her mom, to whom she was very attached. These events led her to the very trail that took her 3 months to complete. As Cheryl progresses along the trail, she remembers and analyzes her life, and the audience learns about her past, the reasons for her divorce from her husband, the aftermath of her mother's death, problems with her father, drug addiction, and multiple infidelities. The heroine embarks on the road as a confused woman who does not know how to get out of a huge tangle of problems. But she completes the route with a completely different person. She becomes realized, wise. She lets go of the anger and hatred that accompanied her at the beginning of the journey. She finds her inner peace and becomes happy. As we delve into Cheryl's life, it's worth looking into her past, as it directly affects the heroine. Cheryl's mother, Bobby, was a very cheerful woman who, despite a tyrant husband, poverty and a disease that was killing her, remained happy and continued to please her children in every possible way. She did not allow homesickness and sadness to creep into her mind. Bobby was a strong woman, and she tried to raise her children to be as peaceful as herself. From childhood Cheryl was attached to her mother. They were real friends, although sometimes she did not understand the views of her mother. The heroine herself admits that only 4 years, 7 months and 3 days after Bobby's death, she was able to become what her mother raised her to be. Cheryl had to overcome a hard road to understand the value of life and everything her mom told her. The loss of her mother had a devastating effect on the young woman, and she became addicted to heroin and began to lead a promiscuous sex life, pleasing all willing men. The tragedy that happened in the family shook Cheryl's mental health, because of which she destroyed her family with constant cheating and taking drugs. When the heroine found out about her accidental pregnancy, of course, not from her husband, she recognized that her life had turned into a horror, and she herself had gone off the right path. This news was the final straw, prompting Cheryl to travel from the Mexican to the Canadian border. From flashbacks, periodic letters from her now ex-husband, and occasional phone calls, it can be inferred that Cheryl and Paul, now ex-husband, still cared for each other, but they could no longer be together because of what had happened. In a conversation with a friend, the woman again admits that she is to blame for the breakup of the family, because she and her husband were doing well before Bobby's death. The 7-year marriage has collapsed. There are several characters that occur in the movie that can't help but make a lot of sense. First of all, there is a fox 3 times in the movie. And it is encountered when Cheryl is having a hard and difficult time moving on. Notably, Cheryl's mom Bobby was also a redhead, which hints that the fox is her mother's spirit. In one of the scenes when Cheryl first sees this fox, the character screams and asks her to go back. This also confirms that the heroine sees her mother in this forest animal. But also one scene on the mountain shows the audience that in fact this fox is not really there at all, it was all dreamed up by Cheryl. Secondly, Cheryl meets a little boy and his grandmother in the woods one day, and the child offers to sing a song that his mother taught him. The song itself contains, you might say, a direct appeal to Cheryl. The boy sings about the road and the journey and also says, "Remember all who have been by your side, and my love don't forget." This little song makes Cheryl burst into tears right in the rain. This demonstrates that she found something in the song that touched her specifically. The ending has a special meaning as the viewer sees the change in the character and realizes how this road has changed Cheryl Strayed. At the beginning of the road Cheryl could do nothing, she was carrying the weight of her past on her back, she had a hard time walking. Which symbolizes the fact that it is hard for her to move through life, she got tired quickly, rubbed her feet and lost her temper. But when she got to the end, you can see that moving around is easier for her, she is not wearing the injuries she had before, her feet no longer hurt, and her backpack is not heavy. She had learned to get rid of the unnecessary past just as she had learned to get rid of the useless items in her backpack. And this has helped ease both her long journey and her life in general. In the last scene, she stands on the bridge with a smile on her face and thinks about the value of her life, saying, "My life, like all life, is mysterious, irreversible, and sacred. So close, so real, so only mine. And how wonderful to let it be." Admin.